Stop whining. It's for the neighborhood. That's what Karen barked at me the night I came home to find two monster trucks crammed into my garage like stealing my car. Bay was some sort of noble crusade for the greater good. The smell burnt brakes and enough fake pine air freshener to knock out a moose hit me before I'd even killed the engine. And there's Karen herself strutting around like she owns the joint queen of the asphalt, barking orders like I was just supposed to roll over and hand her my keys. You know what I mean? It was so over the top I almost laughed almost. The only thing rolling was my phone camera capturing every inch of her little power play for the record. Meanwhile, the neighbors peeked through their blinds waiting for the drama to pop off. They got their show all right. Be honest, would you have laughed in her face or gone straight for payback? Sometimes I wish I'd done both. Let me back up a sec. It was 11:30 on a Tuesday night, the kind where all you want is a cold beer and maybe the last few minutes of a game after a long, thankless double shift. I'd barely made it through a mind-numbing supervisor training could have been an email. But that's life, right? The garage door opener was right where it always lived, clipped to the visor, since I moved into this not-so-fancy but totally mine little house in Riverside Heights. Small ranches built in the 70s, decent schools, and at least when I signed the mortgage an HOA that was supposed to keep its nose out of everyone's business. The street lights threw long shadows over my driveway as I pulled in. The world felt normal, quiet even. Distant AC humming the occasional car way off on the main drag. Then I pressed the button, the garage door rolled up, and I swear my heart just dropped through the floorboards. Staring back at me were two hulking pickups, one Ford, one Chevy, stuffed side by side in my garage like they'd been there forever. Not my trucks, not my problem, or so I thought for about half a second. The smell slapped me first. Hot brakes, old coffee, that sickly pine. Somebody'd driven these things hard recently. I just sat there, engine running, hoping my brain would catch up. Maybe I missed a memo. Maybe the previous owner had some odd arrangement nobody told me about, but the note taped to my workbench killed that real quick. Emergency access drill. Staging. Authorized by HOA Policy Section 7-4. Vehicles will be relocated Thursday morning. Thursday. It was Tuesday. I'd be living with this circus for 2 more days. And Section 7-4. There was no Section 7 in my HOA docs. Trust me, I'd read the whole thing back and front when I moved in. 5 sections mostly about grass height and not painting your house lime green. That's it. I was getting mad and fast. Not only had someone hijacked my garage, but they'd made up some fake policy to cover their tracks. The arrogance was, well, not unfamiliar. Reminded me of those work managers who invent rules on the fly to cover their own mistakes. But this was my home, not some loading dock. And then I saw the keypad, some black plastic green-lighted contraption screwed right into my wall. I hadn't put it there. I hadn't given permission. The nerve of these people actually made my hands shake. I snapped photos of everything. The trucks, both with big magnetic signs that said Riverside Heights Community Safety Program, looked almost legit. Almost. Orange cones and tarped-over gear in the beds like the world's worst undercover operation. But I'm not an idiot. I circled the whole mess, taking pictures of plates, VIN numbers, even the tread on the tires. The red Ford had Georgia plates, the blue Chevy from Florida. What kind of Maryland emergency requires trucks from 2 states away? Here's where my years as a warehouse manager kicked in. I grabbed some little adhesive dots from my toolbox, the kind you use for inventory. I stuck one on each tire, hidden just enough that only I'd know if they moved. Paranoid maybe. But after the day I'd had, I wasn't taking chances. Right about then, my phone buzzed, a new calendar event helpfully added without my input. HOA Emergency Preparedness Meeting, 9:00 a.m. Community Center. Great. Not only was my garage under occupation, but apparently my phone was too. The more I looked, the weirder it got. These emergency trucks had scratches and dents like they'd just finished a week on a construction site not waiting for some disaster. The magnetic signs on the doors were crooked corners curling up to show other company names beneath. There was a high-vis vest in the cab, but with a random corporate logo, not HOA branding. I pulled it out. This wasn't community safety gear, it was straight-up contractor stuff. Standing in my driveway, I felt this mix of anger and disbelief. You ever have one of those moments when you realize authority doesn't care about your rights? That their convenience always seems to matter more than your actual ownership? Yeah, that was me, midnight on a Tuesday, taking photos for what I suspected would be a showdown. Mrs. Henderson across the street was peeking through her blinds. I gave her a wave. She vanished so fast I had to laugh, well, almost. I was starting to realize just how fast news travels in neighborhoods, especially when the HOA's involved. And the air had that sharp October chill that makes you feel both awake and like winter's already waiting around the corner. I did what you do when bureaucracy gets ugly. I started recording video. "Hey, future me," I said into the phone. "It's Tuesday night. I've got 2 trucks in my car bay. No warning, no permission, just a note about a fake emergency drill. Says they'll leave Thursday. That's not how this is going down." By then, the anger had settled into something harder, more useful determination. I left my car in the drive, checked the doors twice, and cracked open that beer I'd been dreaming about all day. Couldn't even enjoy it flipping through photos of the invasion. This wasn't a little misunderstanding. This was someone trying to set a precedent, like, if we get away with this, once we can do it again. I checked my markers one more time before bed. Still there. Wednesday morning came and I woke up before my alarm, angry but focused. I did another lap marker, still in place, truck still there. HOA still silent. Outside, Rebecca, my accountant neighbor, was grabbing her paper. "Hey, you know anything about emergency drills?" I asked. She frowned. Said she'd just seen a $1,500 emergency drill supplies line item on the HOA budget passed by email vote. No public discussion. "Those trucks yours?" she asked, squinting. "Definitely not." She pulled up board minutes on her phone. Turns out our acting HOA president, Malene Pierce, was the one pushing this safety initiative. I remembered her from the annual meeting, a smile that never reached her eyes and a speech about protecting the character of the neighborhood. I'd ignored her then, not anymore. On lunch, I called my insurance agent. "If someone else's vehicle gets damaged in my garage, who's liable?" He was blunt. "If they're there without your consent, you have every right to have them towed." Called the sheriff's office, next Deputy Grant Miller. He walked me through the legal process, written notice, 24 hours, then tow at owner's expense. Document everything. You better believe I did. After work, I printed 2 big bold notices: violation of private property rights. Removed by 7 p.m. Thursday or vehicle will be towed. Taped them right to the windshields, took photos. The first tow company hung up on me, said they don't touch HOA drama. The second, Elite Recovery Services, was all business. "Just need your deed, the notices, and a police report if needed," Jake, the owner, told me. "We do this all the time." As I was snapping photos in the late sun, guess who rolled up? Malene herself, stepping out of a white BMW with a coexist sticker. "There's been some confusion about our emergency program," she said in that sing-song, bless your heart tone. "We need your garage because of its central location." I cut her off. "Who picked my house? Where's the authority in the bylaws?" She dodged, said the board voted months ago. I pulled my phone, hit record, and let her know I never consented. "You've got until 7 p.m. tomorrow or I tow them myself." Her smile disappeared. "We'll be filing a formal complaint about your lack of cooperation. This kind of selfishness affects everyone's property values." I almost laughed. My hostility was a threat to the neighborhood, but her invasion was just community service. I called Deputy Miller back. He backed me up. No HOA supersedes property rights. If they complain, refer them to us. The next morning, I posted a new sign, $50 day storage fee, effective immediately. My own research said I could charge for unauthorized storage like an impound lot. The neighborhood was buzzing, people walking dogs that don't even have dogs sneaking glances at my garage. Social media was split down the middle half. Thought I was selfish. The other half were waking up to how the HOA made decisions without us. At 10 a.m., I got a call from some county emergency office rep. Couldn't provide a shred of documentation, hung up when I pressed. I reported it. Deputy Miller said that could be impersonation document. Any more calls like that? Things were getting weirder. That afternoon, a reporter from the local paper knocked, sniffing around the story. I declined. Publicity felt risky, but maybe it had pushed the HOA to back down. By 7 Hodro that evening, my driveway was the hottest ticket in the neighborhood. People pretending to check mail out, walking for fresh air. Jake and his crew from Elite showed up on the dot. Paperwork in order. No sign of Karen. The trucks were loaded up with surgical precision, and here's the kicker. When the magnetic signs peeled back, you could see Sunrise Hills Property Management and a Georgia phone number underneath. These were maintenance trucks, not emergency anything. Rebecca, who'd been doing her own digging, appeared as the tow guys loaded up. "Seen those trucks doing lawn care for weeks," she muttered. "Same plates. Why rebrand them as community safety?" One of the tow crew found a USB data logger plugged in GPS, probably insurance scam material. I told them leave it for evidence. The plot was thickening. Minutes after the trucks disappeared, the phone started blowing up. First, some official-sounding guy claiming to be the county coordinator again. No ID, just bluster. Then Malene. "You've made a serious mistake, Derek. The board will file complaints." Now she sounded desperate. Deputy Miller swung by, said those vehicles were flagged as stolen in Georgia just days earlier. Turns out our emergency program was a cover for moving hot trucks across state lines. By midnight, the social media thread had exploded. The same people who'd called me selfish now wanted Malene out. Mrs. Henderson even posted, "Sometimes being a good neighbor means standing up to corruption. Sweet justice, huh?" And it didn't stop there. FBI agents showed up that weekend. Yes, real agents, not HOA cosplay. They'd been tracking an insurance fraud ring using fake HOA emergency programs across multiple states. Rebecca, it turned out, found records that Malene, whose real name was Margaret Powell, owned half of Sunrise Hills, the maintenance company getting all those fraudulent payments. She'd used HOA dues to pay herself, then faked insurance claims for equipment theft, pocketing close to $75,000 from our tiny community alone. The news hit like a thunderclap. Margaret fled, tried to board a flight out of the country, and got picked up at Dulles. Turns out she'd pulled this same scam in at least a dozen other places everywhere folks just trusted the HOA to handle things. The fallout changed everything. The FBI recovered hundreds of thousands. The insurance company refunded our losses, and the new board? Yeah, Rebecca was elected treasurer in a landslide, set up strict financial oversight, required homeowner consent for anything on private property, and made sure everyone got a real say at every meeting. We even started a property rights award not named after me, thank you very much, to remind everyone how easy it is for a little apathy to let the wrong people take over. Looking back, it's wild. All I wanted was to park my car, crack a beer, and watch a game. Instead, 2 trucks in my garage exposed a nationwide fraud ring, changed how we govern our neighborhood, and got folks talking again. Really talking, not just grumbling online. The funniest thing, the smallest details made the biggest difference, like those little white dots I stuck on the tires. Sometimes you fight louder, sometimes you just fight smarter, and you keep receipts. So what would you have done? Stood your ground, or let them walk all over you? Was this justice sweet enough? Or would you have gone even harder? Drop your thoughts below. And hey, share your own story if you've tangled with an HOA. And don't forget, guard your garage like it's gold. You never know what or who might roll in next.